I would like to show you something very exciting I found at an auction. It's about a family that used to live in Rosieres, who was the lords of Rosieres in the 16th and 17th century. I would like to show you something very exciting I found at an auction. I had bought it months ago, and it was quite far from home, and I didn't have time to go and get it. And so we just picked it up on the way to the UK, because it was not far from the motorway. And so I have it here as we are on holiday in the UK.
So it's making some interesting bedtime reading, isn't it?
It's very interesting bedtime reading, even though you need a good light to be able to read, so it's not the best to get to sleep. So what it is a lot of old papers, mainly bills and various quite apparently boring things. But what's really exciting is that it's about a family that used to live in Rosieres, the Reboulet family, who was the lords of Rosieres in the 16th and 17th century. I haven't read all of them yet, because there are about 250 pages and it's mostly bills and things like that, so it's not the most
riveting
reading you can get, but still there are a lot of very interesting details about how the house was managed, how was the style of life of the people in Rosieres at the time. So it's quite interesting, really nice writings.
Beautiful writing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at that.
There are some interesting details, like the stamp on the leaf in the sheet, which was the price of the sheet. It says 1 sol la feuille, so the sol was the cent of the currency at the time. So for one sheet of paper, and it was an official paper that was printed in the Généralité de Montpellier.
Oh, right.
So it was the official paper for notaries and things like that. This one has a seal as well. What's quite interesting is that it's about at least 2 or 3 generations of the Reboulet family. So there was Charles de Reboulet, Messire Charles de Reboulet, chevalier, seigneur de l'Abbatier d'Andorre et autres places, baron de Rochebloine et Paillaret, habitant en son château de Rosieres, paroisse de Saint-Félicien. So the lord of l'Abbatier d'Andorre, which is a village about 10 kilometers from ours, baron de Rochebloine et Paillaret, 2 other villages nearby.
Paillaret is the one we can see from our house, isn't it?
And living in the Chateau de Rosieres in Saint-Félicien. So this one, for instance, is about a transaction with there are other names here, with Christophe de l'Étrange, seigneur de Garozon et autres lieux. So that's really interesting because Christophe de l'Étrange, or his son maybe, was the next owner of Rosieres. So that's probably about something to do with the inheritance of the estate at the time. And that's actually quite a late one, 1699. If you put all of this on a paper and you can start to see the family links between everybody, you just need to pick the detail in every single paper to know who was who.
That's going to take a long time though, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're going to do it. and it will be a good opportunity for you to practice your French. So this one is by Antoine de Reboulet. So Antoine de Reboulet got married in the chapel of Rosieres in 1654.
Was that the one who married Marie-Hélène or somebody? No.
Marie-Madeleine.
Marie-Madeleine.
Yes. Yeah, Marie-Madeleine Rosieres. And I saw her name appear in some other papers. So this one is really interesting as well because there's a piece of vellum attached to it. So this is paper, but this is vellum.
Which is animal skin.
Yeah. And so that's probably a piece from an older manuscript that was recycled as a post-it note, basically.
Fantastic!
Because at the time, you would buy the paper per the sheet, and so you wouldn't use it as scrap paper. So
you think it's scrap paper rather than a reference to an older document?
No, I think because this one was sewed to the other paper. Yeah, that's 1651. I see Marie de Chamoiroux, who got married with somebody in the Reboulet family. She was dame of La Bâtie d'Andorre, so the other village. Bénéficié, so she got from Claude de Reboulet, who was, I think, the father of Antoine, and he was living at the time in the Chateau de Rosieres, which is not far from ours as well, a really beautiful chateau. So basically there were all transactions between neighbors where they would sell this and that and marry the daughter of the guy from the next chateau, etc. And so they would write it down all on paper. So it's it's really, really interesting. That's a lot of work for Amy.
No, but you've got an idea of how to get through this, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I have a cunning plan for that. We have a master student who is going to do his master thesis about the history and archaeology of Rosieres. And what I'm going to do is photocopy all of that and let him read it. That sounds like a really good plan, and he'll be able to tell me about
what's
the interesting bits and what's in it. Yeah. Something also very interesting is about the administrative divisions of the Vivarais, which was the historic province at the time where Rosieres was. So the Vivarais was the old name for Ardèche, and there was another province north of that, which is west of Lyon, which was called Le Forêt, which is now the department of the Loire. But the lords of Forêt had some land in Vivarais, and so they were known as administrative islands because they paid their taxes and they paid what they referred for justice to the lord of Forêt rather than Vivarais. And we know from various documents that Paillaret, the village just next to ours, used to be part of Forêt, so it was an administrative island like that. What we don't know exactly is where the border was between Forêt and Vivarais in Paillaret. and I suspect that Rosieres was in Vivarais, but Rosieres was probably just at the border with between the two provinces. And this has quite big implications in the administration, because it means that the Lord of Reboulet, who was also Baron of Payarès, would refer to the jurisdiction of Rosieres, which was Montpellier, for anything that would happen in Rosieres. But if something else happened in Payarès, he would refer to the jurisdiction of Lyon. And so he had a lot of paperwork to do, depending on whether things were happening in Payarès or in Rosieres. So it's quite interesting to see that French people were already really good at making complicated administration at the time.
That's really funny. So basically we've got Rosieres, which looks out above Payarès, and one reports to a town 100 to 200 miles north, and the other 300 miles south.
Yeah, that's basically it. And yet they had to do everything. So you see, these stamps, for instance, are about the Généralité de Montpellier. So Généralité de Montpellier is a Généralité was the equivalent of a region nowadays. I think there were about 10 or 12 Généralités, which were the districts of the Kingdom of France. And this one, for instance, mentions the Généralité de Lyon. So that's about Lady Noble Alexandre Crottière or something like that, Sir de Chambonas, I don't know, well, somebody, and their children, to have something transported to Chateau de Rosieres, paroisse de Saint-Félicien, domaine de Monsieur Charles de Reboulet. So it's about a bill for probably like a taxi bill or something like that of the time. And so this was the Généralité de Montpellier. This one, contrat d'étermoiement, June, so that's 1717, so still about Charles de Reboulet, living in Rosieres en Vivarais. He signed, so that's credit signature, basically. He bought something from Jean Séguelat, marchand à Lyon, and he owes £14,000.
That's a lot of money.
Don't know how much it was, but yeah, it sounds quite a lot.
I love the signatures on that one. Look at that. Someone really wanted to make it worth their while writing the signature.
Well, there was something about the signatures at the time. It's because there were usually notaries.
Yeah.
Because all these were notarized, so you didn't want anybody to be able to fake a signature. Yeah. So they made the signature very complicated, so that because it was the equivalent of a stamp at the time, it was something you didn't want people to fake.
But I mean, I don't think I'd be able to replicate that one if it was mine.
Well,
It's like, how many loops on that one?
Yeah, they probably had a lot of practice doing that. You have actually very beautiful, even nicer signatures in the 15th century, where they would draw patterns and that really looked like crests or very complicated patterns. And it was really, really beautiful. I'll show them to you when we're back home. There were a lot fewer people who were able to write at the time. And so you would, to replicate that, you'd be able to first to know how to write. Yeah. And then to be able to replicate something that looked like the signature. So there wouldn't have been many people able to forge that type of signature.
Huh.
What else do we have here? So this is a longer contract that looks really interesting because the people tend to tell everything about their lives when they sign a contract, and yeah, because it's they always liked doing a lot of paperwork, and
it's very French.
There is one set of papers that look quite interesting. I haven't got to the bottom of what it was about, but it's about some money transfers with a convent in Lyon. And I think it was because the sister or daughter of one of the Reboulet, one person from the Reboulet family, so the Lord of Rosieres, would have been a nun in that convent in Lyon. So it's a convent in that was located in Croix-Rousse, which is a district of Lyon, and it's all a bit hard to read. Some of them are a bit easier, like this one. Dame Renée Madeleine, so Lady Renée Madeleine from who was a nun, the superior of the monastery of the Bernardines in that town of Lyon, proche de la Croix-Rousse. She was assisted by Sister Marie Benoît Gonnet, Marie Honorée Droussy, Marie, so all the other sisters as witnesses. They give and to Michel Charton, marchand boucher à Lyon, so a butcher in Lyon, something to transport, and against the sum of 437 pounds and 5 sols. It's really annoying when there's a word you can't read in the middle of the sentence, because you can get the general meaning, but it's about Noble Antoine de Reboulet, Chevalier Seigneur de Ruissat, Rosières, Labattie. So he's dealing with them as the father and administrator of his children and of his defunct wife, Dame Madeleine Marthe de Rosieres.
Defunct?
Yeah.
Does that mean dead?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
How do you say in English?
Defunct, I don't know. Not defunct, though. Deceased.
Not deceased, yeah, deceased. That's the word. That's the word I was looking for.
Right.
Yeah, so we know that in what year? Well, when this was written, his wife was dead. He's giving an annual pension to Sister Marie-Angélique de Rosieres, his
daughter.
So his daughter. So that's really interesting, because they very often in the family trees we don't talk about women.
Yeah.
Because they weren't very important, because they wouldn't inherit if there was a male heir. And so they are very often missing from the family trees. And so we know that Antoine de Reboulet had a daughter named Marie-Angélique, who was nun in the monastery in Lyon.
What does the butcher got to do with it?
So I'm not quite sure. I think he was just. Probably transporting the money, probably because he had some deliveries.
Yeah. Oh right. Okay.
Because it was, as you didn't have a very reliable postal service.
Yeah.
Or something,
And they didn't have online banking.
Yeah, and you would just give money to somebody who was going in the area.
Yeah.
And he would sign a paper saying that he got the money from you, and he was taking care of it.
I suppose in those days, not only was it quite dangerous going up into the hills, but it was it would have taken a long time as well, wouldn't it?
Well, the people were quite fit at the time, because they would walk all the time, and also they had horses as well. So
but still, it's without paved roads. That's a reasonable journey. It's quite a big ascent.
Yeah, it would have. Well, I guess it would have taken maybe 3 or 4 days to come to from Lyon to.
Yeah.
To
That's a big
our place.
difference
Yeah.
because it's now about an hour and a half.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's in there. I need to start making notes and writing down what who's related to who.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll find a lot of data that haven't been written down. So it's that's
He's very chuffed
really
with that.
really exciting. Yeah.
And it's distracting him from the game playing with Clement, which not really. He's still playing games with Clement. My dad made all these bricks for Clement to pile up, like Jenga, and it's my dad and Marc who like building things, and Clement who likes bashing them down. And yesterday it was so hot, we got him a little pool, which is actually really cold. And I'm the only one who'll go in with him, but he loves it. I think this is his tractors floating in it at the moment though. And so we're having some beautiful weather. And so Mark's not been spending as much time on them, the manuscripts, as he might normally do.